One of the most influential shadow men in the world has declared that cryptocurrency will be used to tokenize the entire planet. Presently, who is this strong shadow man? The chairman and CEO of BlackRock is none other than American business magnate Larry Fink, a multi-millionaire. Which, if you are familiar with the investing company, you are aware, effectively owns the entire planet. The head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, is positive about cryptocurrencies. BlackRock is the largest money management company in the world, with over $10 trillion in assets under administration, making it the most powerful corporation in the global financial system. Given that the current monthly candle is green and that stories are connected after the price has moved, this may attract greater attention. Here is what Larry Fink actually said about cryptocurrencies.
This is one of the reasons why I'm focusing on the whole idea of blockchain for securities. I look forward to the day when we could tokenize stocks and bonds, that every stock and every bond we could identify immediately who is the beneficial owner, and this is why we're working on it, and every beneficial owner from an individual to an institution have the ability to vote, to democratize every single vote. And that's where we want to take this, and we're leading that effort.
Therefore, Larry Fink is highly optimistic about cryptocurrencies and thinks that we should tokenize every bond and every share of stock. In addition, Larry Fink himself claims that BlackRock, the most influential organization in the world, wants to be in charge of this initiative. Due to the fact that the majority of assets would be tokenized on the Ethereum blockchain, this development would be primarily positive for the cryptocurrency.
Guys, we're talking about the debt and how much, what it means to inflation and everything else, and which of course leads invariably to a conversation we've been having with you now for many years about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. You have been, I think, skeptical, a bit reluctant to dive completely into the pool, in part over questions about what regulators will ultimately do, et cetera. I'm curious whether this Coinbase IPO or the moment we're now in has shifted or changed your views at all about where all of this is headed?
Well, I'm still fascinated about it. I'm encouraged by how many people are focusing on it. I'm encouraged about the narrative. It may become a great asset class, and I do believe this could become a great asset class, cryptocurrency. I don't believe it's a substitute for currencies. I think we're going to have cryptocurrencies of dollars, cryptocurrencies of other currencies. But I don't believe we should be focused. We should think about crypto as a substitute of currency. But it could. But I am fascinated by it as an asset class. I am still watching. I will tell you of our investors worldwide, we don't have that much inquiry on it. We are investing in it. Rick Reeder's been on your show talking about things that we are doing in it, and we are studying it. We've made money on it. But I'm not here to tell you that we are seeing broad-based interest by institutions worldwide. I like to say that most of what we do is a reflection of what we are hearing from our clients. So I would clearly tell you worldwide. Go on, Andrew.
What you're saying, what you're saying, though, I think is very, very important. And I just want to put a fine point on it because
please.
You're speaking to companies all over the world, and you're saying now that you don't believe that companies have a unique interest in this. They're not saying, hey, Larry, we're thinking about how we can get exposure for our balance sheet. Do you have a product? Can you do something? Are you thinking about creating a product for them? And you're speak directly to that, because, by the way, that is the narrative. It's the narrative around, frankly, even the valuations of the Coinbases of the world, in part because there's a view that institutional money is desperate to be part of this, and you're saying the opposite.
Well, I'm not. We are not having those conversations, and maybe they're talking to somebody else. So I don't want to suggest that we have perfect information, but our broad-based client relationships we've had very little interconnectivity on the conversation on crypto, other than a fascination. I could tell you, it is, the amount of conversations we're having on climate risk and how they should navigate portfolios is a major component of the conversation. The conversations about our deficits and the conversations we're now having on inflation risk is far more dominant with our clients worldwide than the whole conversation about crypto. Let's be clear about why you are seeing more interest in crypto. CNBC is you are commentating about the markets and about today. We didn't have any conversations around Reddit and GameStop, and what does that mean with our clients either? And yet it represented a major component of the markets, and it's fascinating to watch. So I do believe there's components in the financial markets about crypto that is real, that is growing. But if you're asking me specifically about long-term investing, from sovereign wealth funds, from pension funds, from retirement services, from big family offices, the conversation about crypto is a very minor conversation compared to so many other conversations.
You talk about 2022 being a year of huge transition. How do you see this year shaping up, Larry? More of the same, or, are your expectations perhaps a bit different than what we've seen last year?
Well, from the perspective of long-term investors, I see 2023 to be enormously opportunistic. Actually, maybe the hardest years for investing for the long term were the last few years because of negative interest rates. Investors worldwide had to take on more and more risk to achieve their liabilities. Actually now having, 2-year treasuries going to be close, at 4.25, credits at 5, high yield at 8%. We're going to see a whole restructuring and a rebalancing of how portfolios were constructed just a few years ago. And you're going to see now, once again, more bond investing within the confines of pension fund investing. In 20 years ago, most pension funds had 60-70% in bonds because they were able to achieve their role and their goals that they were trying to achieve. By 2018, they could not own bonds. They had to put on more and more illiquidity. And so in reality, we're going to be seeing more and more opportunities of rebalancing back into bonds. And as you talk about a lot about growth equity, when interest rates are near zero, you have the ability to buy high growth stocks because you're not losing any money. If short rates go up to 5%, you're paying a big premium for that type of perceived growth. And that's a recalibration that we saw in 2022. And now we're living in an area where you're going to be able to invest differently. In addition, we are seeing more and more investors looking at infrastructure, where you're going to have a combination of some illiquidity, but you're going to have high coupon. I think this is going to be a period of time with more dividend stocks again as a play. So I look at this as more opportunistic. And probably the most important thing of our announcement today in terms of earnings has been BlackRock is winning more share of wallet than any firm in the world. In good markets when markets are going down, or in bad markets, good markets when markets are going up and bad markets are going down. This past year, we had $400 billion of net inflows in long-term assets, of which $230 billion came from the United States. And so we have now raised about $1.7 trillion over the last few years from investors awarding us in good times and bad times because of the guidance we're giving and also our performance and our fiduciary standard.
Therefore, I completely concur with Larry Fink that this year will be extremely advantageous for investors who are willing to take chances. Values have been drastically reduced across the board, but especially in the cryptocurrency market. I think fortune will reward the brave who can withstand the volatility of the crypto asset class. It is very challenging to be enthusiastic about cryptocurrencies in the future years. Anyway, guys, if you liked today's video, think about liking or subscribing. I'll see you all in the next one.